No sooner than Jesus rises up out of the waters of baptism, he steps right onto the devil's turf. Where is this turf? In the wilderness. In this harsh wilderness, Jesus fasts 40 days and nights and finds himself hungry. 40 days and nights. We've heard this time frame before. Noah and his family riding out the storm on the ark. Moses fasting in preparation to receive the Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai. The number of 40 is extremely symbolic in the Scriptures as a period of testing and waiting for God. We often associate wilderness with barrenness and the absence of spirituality. But oh, for Israel and for us, our wilderness teems with temptations, junk spiritualities of amazing variety, false idols obvious to the eye and deeply embedded into the pantheon of the human heart. For some of us, temptation is the overwhelming sense, as the poet Wordsworth famously wrote, that the world is too much with us. In this wilderness, the tempter comes to Jesus. Take that back. He more than comes up to Jesus. This is more than a casual encounter. The tempter approaches Jesus with respect, like a gentleman, as Shakespeare once said. Even this antagonist knows full well the presence he's up against. In round one, the tempter targets Jesus' belly, his carnal vulnerability. If you are the Son of God, turn these stones into bread. Treat yourself. Use your power to treat others. If God is the great benefactor, then get the bureaucracy rolling with the menu of entitlements. The devil knows full well the logic of Roman rulers who found out cleverly that one way to gain the quick favor of the masses was to spill the public granaries from time to time to keep the masses in place. But Jesus answers with the full knowledge that authentic existence means more than having a full tummy. One does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Then, in round two, the devil takes Jesus to the holy city, probably Jerusalem, and places him on a high spot at the temple. And he dares Jesus to test the Almighty by seeking help for selfish reasons and miraculous effect. He wants Jesus to overlook the reality that God-given abilities have already been bestowed upon him to be used day by day in ordinary holiness. If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down and God will send soft-handed angels to land you better than a safety net at a circus. But Jesus again responds with Scripture. Again it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test. Round three, and the devil still persists. He doesn't give up quickly. He takes Jesus to a high mountain and shows him all the kingdoms of the world in all their glory and says to him, forget this suffering servant Messiah career track you're on. Forget the necessity to interrupt the efficiency of your journey to dine with the downtrodden and diseased. There's your great destiny, your glory. All this I will give you, just kneel down and worship me. During the early days of World War II, Franklin Delano Roosevelt tried unsuccessfully to keep Italy out of the war. After all diplomatic channels were exhausted, the president phoned Winston Churchill and said it was no use anymore because someone had already taken Mussolini up to a high mountain and shown him the kingdoms of the world in all their splendor. But even though famished and fatigued, Jesus responds forcefully to the tempter. Begone, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. Finally, the devil leaves Jesus for the time being, only to reassert himself again in the heat of the crucifixion. Suddenly, angels approach Jesus and wait on him with utmost respect and honor as he enjoys a good square meal once again after 40 days. Dear brothers and sisters, at the beginning of another Lenten season, our 40-day journey in the wilderness, we walk vigilantly and humbly into the arenas where subtle and not so subtle temptation endangers us. Our temptation, though packaged in different forms, looks similar to the ones in the story. Become like God, test God for dramatic purposes, depend on our own ingenuity, turn our backs to the kingdom of heaven in exchange for the world's wealth, splendor, and empty promises. In this wilderness, we're dealing with sin as a deep condition with a capital S, not just petty sins. Sin in the deepest reality, what Luther calls anything our heart clings to other than the living God. In this often attractive wilderness, we're wrestling with temptation with a capital T, not petty temptations that the angry moralists claim we can conquer with our own willpower. It is startling to me that throughout the temptation account, Jesus remains alone as the contender with the devil. There is no supporting cast, no tag team wrestling here. Not even the angels are involved in assisting Jesus with his resistance. They simply wait his table at the end. Christ alone is the victor who fights on behalf of his people. By the Spirit of God, Christ casts out demons. His kingdom has drawn near in our wilderness. He walks ahead of us through the valley of the shadow of death and temptation and fear. We are not left to fend off temptation with our own faculties. For we, baptized in Christ's name, walk in the shadow of his conquering cross. Now we, baptized in Christ's name, fight all our battles in him and in his name. That is the promise and power that sustains us each and every day. And that is the assuring word that gives us confidence to walk through every landscape where temptation raises its ugly or pretty head. Thanks be to God. Amen.